Hello. Let's do a little reading. I'm gonna hit you guys with the Liberation Tarot today. One of my first decks. And as I'm recording this, Saturn is going to change signs tomorrow. He has about a 2.5-year cycle, and his domain is a lot of stuff that we collectively have been trained to avoid and to cast into the personal and or collective unconscious. So if you see any dark themes coming up in today's reading, it's not because there's anything personally, wrong with you or that anything is going wrong. But Saturn does sometimes bring our attention to, and he's not the only one. We've got Pluto, Mars, we've got the shadow aspect of every single planet and archetype that some people will say that, don't necessarily like to be faced with, but I just wanted to name that before we shuffle. What I'm asking for here is a bit of a collective energy read. All right. Well, that is beautiful. We have the Healer of Spirals reversed. You see this right here? There's a lot of awareness that this is what we need. The truth of interconnection coming to the forefront. And this card did come out reversed. So it's almost as though there is a hesitation or a doubt asking to be seen related to our capacity, ability, or willingness to contain this archetype within us, to do what needs to be done with it, and to hold it. I think that the lesson that is really asking to be learned here is this one, the Student of Vessels. And there's a lot more to say about this card, but the student recognizes that there is always more to learn. So even if you're a teacher, even if you are a master at something, you know this. The only way you achieve that point is by your devotion to whatever it is that you do and your willingness to always be a student as well. The Student of Vessels particularly is learning to steward their cup, their waters. And there is a saying that is coming into my head right now related to this directly. It's something along the lines of, when you have a full cup, or even if you just have something in your cup, you're being asked to walk differently, to hold yourself differently, to carry that cup differently than if you were walking or running around with an empty cup. If you recognize that there is something in your cup to steward, there is something there to energetically be aware of, to protect, to even distribute, it requires devotion and attention. And so the art of reclaiming your attention And keeping your devotion defined and rooted is something that is also at play within this card. And I want to name that a lot of. So, my aunt sent me a video yesterday, and this person in the video, I don't tend to like what they say, but they had really good points about absolutely everything. And one of the things was, and I think about this all the time because I'm personally affected by it, the way that we outcast people who are emotionally vulnerable and are practicing relational skills. In therapy speak, a lot of times emotional emotional vulnerability can get recast as being toxic, oversharing, using your friends as therapists, stuff like that. And consent is important, right? That's always true. A lot of us are overloaded and overburdened. And so, if my friend is not down to share that and co regulate and relate with each other in that way, then they're not. And that's okay. But there's also the scapegoating of people who have been practicing relational skills and have the gift of vulnerability. And a lot of those people are marked as mentally ill. They are medicated. They are given limited access to the very few benefits of being included in the in group of society, which in a lot of ways, and maybe that's what's being asked to be recognized by you too, is if you have been given limited access to some of the benefits of society, there are a lot of hard times that go with that, right? But there's also the beauty of not being so deeply embedded and the gift of being more emotionally sovereign, less. It's not that you're not affected by the collective consciousness, right? It's that you are not so deeply moved when you notice that the hive mind, the egregore of colonization and the cult of endless growth is whatever they're doing, whatever they're moving with. You're like, okay, yeah, I mean, that's crazy. And it is weird whenever you're being told you're the crazy one or you're the one that's mentally ill. But here it is. Show up with those gifts. People are now trying to figure out how to relate to each other. And the truth is that all of us are, like literally every single one of us, even if you have these gifts, you're going to fuck up. So don't expect yourself to be something that's not human. Mistakes are part of life. And that's no surprise. The death card. What is really underneath all of the layers of what is dying right now? What is at the root? What is asking to be seen? Which parts of you still identify with what is dying on the outside world right now? And it's not to make you bad or wrong. It's to help yourself. If you feel any shame about any fear, anxiety, or resistance you have to what is currently dying, it's not so much a personal failure. It's just a portal. Grief only exists because of love. If we didn't love something, we wouldn't feel that grief so deeply. So I'm going to flip this way because this is what is being asked for right now to move through this particular portal. Let me see if I can get a little bit more information. Yeah, we are going to move to the dark mirror. What would like to make itself known? Oh. Peaceful among the thorns. Yep, that's that whole spiritual, psychological warfare stuff all around you. And it is difficult. Peace is an interesting word. I may get this quote completely wrong. I believe it was Martin Luther King who said that peace is not the absence of tension, but the presence of justice. I'm probably butchering that quote, but the essence of it is something to do with like peace isn't like this kumbaya, everyone pretends that everything is okay. It is confronting violence, not bypassing it. And when we live in a culture that is held up primarily by violence, there are so many opportunities to confront that violence, to speak it, to make it known. Whatever threads you are personally pulling on, wherever your awareness is, you likely know a lot about those rabbit holes, those supply chains, those histories, those concentration camps, those child slaves or slaves in general. Make your voice heard whenever it is possible. Doesn't mean to overstretch yourself, but it does mean to push your boundaries whenever possible, to expand your capacity. Right now, we have Jupiter in Cancer, and this is, to me, this screams expanding capacity. It's really such a beautiful transit, and we have a few more months left of it. Jupiter is going to be in Cancer until, I think, early summer this year. He's only in a sign for a year, so we're about halfway through. Really, really good one to take advantage of. If you know about my YouTube channel, it's the first video on my channel. Well, it's not really the first video. I actually wiped the last few years off of my channel at the beginning of last year, I think. But Jupiter in Cancer, Jupiter is all about expanding and abundance. However, whatever he touches, he expands, regardless if it is good or bad. Cancer is a extremely misunderstood archetype that is incredibly foundational to ourselves individually and collectively. The archetype is too close to home for a lot of us to really understand how powerful she is. Cancer is affiliated with not only the home, the foundation, the root, the ancestors, but the moon, the mother. Care. But care A lot of times now it feels like an afterthought, when in reality, and I learned this so beautifully from listening to Divination for Liberation, care is what our entire currency is based off of. And if that's a new realization for you, please go give them, buy something from them, send them some money. You can find her on YouTube, on Instagram. But it really is so mind blowing. Like, even if you know that at an energetic level, speaking it out is so interesting because the real economy, not the fake economy, is about care. And a lot of the fake economy is about care too. It's just certain types of care are valued over others. Women, a lot of the times, get shouldered with care task after care task that they are not compensated for, monetarily or otherwise. And within the recognition that all of that is incredibly important work, connecting with the land around the place that you live, feeding the people that you cohabitate with, nutritious, nurturing food, keeping an energetically and physically clean space. All of this stuff is crucial to our well-being. Our foundations are so important. The place that we retreat to when we need to rest, when we need to nourish ourselves. It cannot be understated how important this work is. So, returning to this, one of the biggest ways to cultivate this ability is to bring your attention. Again, Cancer is all about devotion and attention where it needs to go. And it needs to flow exactly like water. Cancer is a water sign. It is a cardinal sign, so you're choosing a direction, very specifically choosing a direction. It doesn't mean that it can't shift, that the direction can't shift, because this is water. Water flows. But don't feel self-indulgent by taking the time, the care, and the intention to bring that devotion back to your root. Whether you're doing something in your home, you're paying more attention to the food that you eat and serve others, whether you are delving into your ancestral roots and connecting with ancestors, colonized or colonizer, or all of the above, this is all important work. So if you're feeling that call, devote yourself to it. Speak it out loud, journal it, talk to your friends. If you don't want to talk, then do. Envious gluttony. So that one is just asking to be seen right now. The child I was meant to be. Again, we have a lot of roots. We have a lot of very foundational stuff here. Take your time with this. Envy and gluttony are woven into our culture. So again, it's not a personal failure. It is simply who we were told to be. But we have to look. Perchance to dream. How funny. I'm not as familiar with this card, so I'm going to take a look at the guidebook, but it is giving like Neptunian Piscean delusion. And we have 28, so that's funny. Yeah, denial. Yep. If I sleep long enough, when I wake up, the pain will have been gone. Yeah, okay, guys. It is not the time to tap out. However, this is different than taking a rest, then taking the time to nourish yourself and rest so that you can jump back in and do what needs to be done. If that's what you're doing, I'm not talking to you. If you are saying, if you are giving yourself excuses to lay down and wait for somebody else to do the things that you know need to be done, that are within your ability to do, that is not what is being called for right now. It says it's time to surrender, to drown, to dive in headfirst in the cozy, all-enveloping darkness of the blanket. It is just a moment. It is a moment of weakness, a desire to close your eyes and surrender just for 1 moment, 1 second, or 1 minute. Not like a hero fighting the world, but like a kid, just welcoming the darkness outside, within fully. How long will the moment last? A minute? We can say just a minute, but it's not true. Disappearing is but an instant, just the time that it takes to take a breath twice. And yet, it can take ages. Ages we will regret. Ages we will have lost, like stolen by our own surrendering. And yet we close our eyes. We let one sense after the other slow down to nothing. Sight first, then hearing and smell. Last will be the touch, the comforting hand we all deserve, to hold us up when we have done enough, and we just cannot but let it go. The phase of the moon associated with this card is the new moon, and for a lot of people, everything is okay. Let me back up. Everything is circular, right? And back to what I was saying. The new moon is a phase in the moon cycles that is very dark. When you go outside on a new moon, it's a completely different experience than going outside when the moon is more illuminated. You don't really need light so much when the moon is close to fully illuminated. But hey guys, can you not fight? I'm recording a video, okay? Thank you. There's like one swing on the swing set that everybody loves. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up. The new moon, the darkness, is a part of the cycle. We are in that part of the cycle now, y'all. If you are waiting for somebody else to save you, that is not the vibe. What is being asked for right now is your participation, the expansion of your capacity, your attention and devotion returned to the root, and to carry your cup differently, which may mean distributing those gifts, those waters, sharing them. I am going to do the thing where I sandwich a more love and light message on top of the darker one. And I think there's plenty of you who wouldn't have a single issue if I stopped this reading right now and you already know what's up. But we'll do it anyway. How about the Starseed Oracle? If you know my thoughts on the word starseed, you'll find it really funny that I have this deck. But it's actually really, really good. Like the messages are top tier. Somewhere near there. So let's get some closing advice. Okay. Here we go. We got I'm sorry. Defenselessness, righting past wrongs, uprooting. Yeah, so it's okay to fuck up. If you need to say sorry, say sorry. If you need to just get back in there and do what needs to be done, then do that. The courageous peony, multifaceted, unique nature. Let yourself be seen. I think I'm going to read that one out. We're not supposed to be carbon copies of each other. That's what the whole colonized death cult thing wants. It wants us to surrender to this completely whitewashed cyborg identity of being the same, of being emotionally regulated 100% of the time. You know, drives me crazy. Lifting the veil, question everything, anything unaligned must go. Anything unaligned must go, questioning everything. I'm going to read these two out right now. It is very Saturnian to call in. You need to call. Requires taking action. Requires discipline, structure, boundaries, acceptance of limitations. All right, we found this one first, so let's go for it. Things aren't always as they seem. This era is one of uncovering mistruths so we can remember ancient truths. Everything is in a state of recall and realignment. Anything that isn't in harmony with the planet will not survive. So again, y'all, the planet is not in danger. Should we be trashing her and treating her like we do? Absolutely the fuck not. But who's really in danger? It's us. It's all of the other species that we put at risk every day, continuing on with business as usual. That is all unnecessary suffering that we are contributing to and consenting to with every choice that we make, if we make those choices. This goes for society and the world at large, as well as in our own lives. If you pull this card, you're being called to energetically scan your life for things that may no longer be of a vibrational match for who you are and how you've grown, to dismantle systems and ways of being that once served you and others, but no longer do. Some starseeds are here to lift the veil between the seen and unseen worlds, to shine a light on things that are inauthentic or unaligned with the survival and well-being of Earth, to stand for and protect those who don't have a voice, to look deeper and question everything that previous generations did not. Some starseeds cannot tolerate things that aren't congruent. They're here to bring society and humanity back into harmony with the planet and the Creator at large. If we tolerate things in our life that aren't aligned and congruent with it, we add to the misalignment of the planet. So again, if you are being asked by some kind of influencer therapist to simply regulate yourself into compliance, ask yourself if that is what you want to align with. You're being called to trust yourself, notice what's out of alignment, and then take the baby steps required to bring it back into harmony. I'm going to speak again here. The baby steps. Do not expect overnight transformation from yourself. That is not fair. And we are creatures. We are creatures. We are no different in that we are just living beings out here, affected energetically, physically, materially, emotionally, psychologically, by everything. Do not expect an overnight transformation from yourself. That's not fair. That is the black box Saturn shit. That is the patriarchy. That is the colonized mind coming in and saying, you have to do it like this, otherwise you're not good enough. You have to do it quickly, otherwise you're not good enough. You have to start with those baby steps. And it's really fucking hard when you know how huge the overall change that is needed is. But the only way forward is to return to that awareness and that compassion for yourself, which is the compassion for everyone else. There's not a single person who could just turn a new leaf on everything they need to turn a new leaf on overnight. Please give yourself a break. But by give yourself a break, I mean take those baby steps. Because as you take those baby steps, your nervous system is going to become more regulated. Because you're living less out of alignment with your truth, with who you are. No one can tell you what path to take, which direction to go. That is only you. That has to come from your heart. Okay, in the tarot, Now I'm out here preaching. Okay, in the tarot, the strength card is heart strength. It is heart courage. That is where true strength lies. Physical strength is something else. Not to say that it isn't useful. It's useful as hell for shit like this, right? If you need to build a house. But what is... There it is. See, look. We have the mountain. We have the awareness of the hugeness of the tasks that lie ahead of us. We have the lion. The lion is obviously a symbol. He's also associated with Inanna. We have flowers. We have the infinity symbol right here above her head. And she's gentle. This is strength. Strength is courage to be led by the heart, even when everything around you says that that's a weakness. Cultivate your strength right now, okay? Tend to it. Ask yourself questions related to your values. That is how you will know what to stand up for. That's how you'll know what hills to die on and which ones to just... You do have to be strategic with your energy, right? With the fights that you're fighting. This is no easy feat, but it's so worthwhile, both individually and for the planet. The inquiry is, what isn't congruent in your life, and how are you being called to bring it back into harmony? All right, we're going to do the courageous peony. Flowers don't open and close according to who walks by, you guys. They embrace all of what they are and show it to the world around them. The peony doesn't try to compete with the cherry blossom, and the cherry blossom doesn't try to compete with the tulip. They own what they are and trust the timing of their true nature. You're being called to do the same. It's time to open yourself up to being seen. Time to share your incredible, multifaceted, true nature with the world around you, to uncover and reveal your soul's greatest gifts without wavering, to own your uniqueness without apology. There's a flower on this planet that holds the same qualities that your soul is readying itself to express. Let it inform you. You may have been taught that it's safer to keep your light hidden and your voice small, to hide behind the bushes instead of growing tall. The courageous peony is here to remind you that it's safe to embody all of who you truly are. It's safe to share your voice and let yourself be seen. At first, it may feel uncomfortable and you may be afraid of what others think, but with each passing day, it does become easier. Little by little, you realize that it draws in those who are meant for you, and experiences you've been longing for arrive at your feet. How are you being called to allow yourself to be more visible and seen in the world? We'll read I'm Sorry too, because why not? And it's important. We're living in divisive times. When we're hurt and triggered, we tend to see things as a personal attack rather than the opportunity for healing. If we're to find true peace and unity, we need to drop our defenses and see things outside of right and wrong. As souls, we intrinsically remember unity and yearn for it on earth. Perhaps this is why it feels so painful when we experience the opposite. But it's crucial to remember that we simply can't bypass reality and pretend that unity, love, and forgiveness are here. This is one of the greatest challenges for starseeds. To bring about unity, we must first acknowledge the ways in which we and the world have been divisive. Personally, ancestrally, and collectively. The shadows, hate, wounds, separation, severings, wrongs, and sadness. You may be called to explore how you, your ancestors, ding, 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 or your society, there we go, consciously or unconsciously, inflicted pain on others, to find a way to drop the armor around your heart and to see things as they truly are for all people. They're so scared of the spider. To say I'm sorry with an open heart and mean it. to be part of the healing rather than the perpetuation of inherited conflict or oppression. This isn't about blame, it's about unwinding the patterns that got us here. You may be called to devote your time to causes you believe in or to do healing work on your ancestral line. How are you being called to drop your defenses and unwind past wrongs? All right, so I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for taking the time out of your very precious day to sit with me and listen to the cards and the messages. I hope you're taking care of yourself. I hope you are being very kind to yourself as you expand your awareness, capacity, vulnerability, courage, and tend to your communities in your heart. I will be back pretty soon. Probably have a video going up for the 17th, which is an eclipse day and a new moon. I am attuned more to the new moons than the full moons. I tend to work with them more often, so I'm sure I'll have something to say. And then I will also have something to say about the Saturn Neptune conjunction at the first degree of Aries, which happens only once in 9,000 years. That is happening on Friday, the 20th of February. So we are in for a little shift there. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.